And what can I do but offer this heart, oh God, completely to you.
In your life of something that feels broken, and you're like, not that you want to keep it in the dark, but maybe you're working with people, like your pastor or your friends or your community, but in the religious communities, like maybe we're just going to draw you to the middle and make you like the center of the conversation. I've talked several times about my dad's struggles with alcoholism, and like there were times my church would put him in the middle of it, and it felt very disingenuous because they were trying to love the sinner, hate the sin, and it felt very disingenuous to the teaching. That's what they're doing. They're actually decentering the conversation on hope and love and justice and all the things that Jesus is trying to teach about. And it says that they place her in the center of the group. So they're centering their condemnation. They're like removing the teaching Jesus has. They're at the center of hope, justice, resurrection, transformation for all people. That's at the center. And they're decentering that to then put this condemnation at the center. And I would say at the center of the love the sinner, hate the sin phrase, this Christian-ish phrase, is condemnation. That is what is centered in that sort of phrase. And we see it lived out here and here. And they're not seeking justice really as well. Like they're not really seeking justice for this woman. They're not seeking justice for the man who was conveniently not drugged to the center in this story. They're not seeking justice for the religious community or for the oppression of anyone. They're trying to catch Jesus in a trap, and they're trying to use her as a pawn in this chess game of condemnation for him and for others that they are perpetuating. Self-aware, I certainly have probably said this to someone at some point in my life. Like I probably well-intentioned, well-meaning, which I think is like permission for all of us to understand that like we're not perfect, right? We have said things that are hurtful and meant it in love, and then realize what we said was not loving, right? Like if you ever had a conversation with a friend or a sibling or a spouse and you leave and you're like, did we have two different conversations here? Like I thought everything I said was really loving, and then you talk about it like 5 years later and you're like, oh, that was a pretty big jerk right there, right? That's a little bit of how I retrospectively look at this, because it sounds like love on its face. It has the word love in it, but it often does not offer a lot of love. Rather, it works in practice as a loophole for condemnation. Like usually it's like love the sinner, hate the sin, semicolon. Don't exactly know how semicolons work, but I think you put a semicolon there. Bridging two equal ideas, I think is what a semicolon is. And then the other side of it is like, but now I'm going to hit you with my condemnation, right? Like the equal idea is over here, and then I'm going to hit you with my condemnation on you. It's a loophole. It's a pathway. It's a highway to get past the love and into the condemnation. Zero. That's wild. Both of these cups have zero. Isn't that wild? Neither of those things happened. Jesus broke the Sabbath to heal people. He refused to wash people's feet, even though it was a religious custom, because he wanted to push back and challenge. Told the parable of the Good Samaritan that was all about legalism and affirming rules over the dignity and value of people, a critique of Pharisees. Jesus pushed back against that. How many times did Jesus show grace to sinners in the Gospels? Now, you might be like, it's going to be hundreds of times, right? Well, there's 4 Gospels that kind of hit the same stories, so it's not going to be hundreds. But there's something like 15 to 20 stories that show Jesus showing grace to sinners. Zacchaeus, the woman caught at the well, Matthew, the woman caught in adultery, Peter after his denial, Peter in doubting, the criminal on the cross. Like there are 15 to 20, I bet you there's more if we wanted to dive into them and really like pull them all out in here, but stories of Jesus showing grace and compassion to sinners. How about times that Jesus was just simply moved by compassion? Like times you see that phrase where Jesus is standing up and it says that he watched the way religious people were responding, and his whole mind, body, and spirit were moved by compassion. He didn't preach first, but he felt first. And so this is the unique side of the story. Like he didn't let his teaching then move into compassion. He found people, and he was simply, as the story tells us, moved to compassion. There's about 18 stories of these where it says that he was moved to compassion. Guys, these are so much. But you get the point. They all look like the same metal leg as a mirror. How many times did Jesus restore people's dignity? About 18 times. About 15 to 18 stories. Here's the last one. How many times did Jesus condemn and confront religious hypocrisy? How many times do you think he did that? Not zero, guys. This was the most. This was 30-ish times the Jews condemned religious people and hypocrisy, legalism and all that. So we see on this side the condemnation of sinners. There's nothing in there, right? Condemnation of religion and hypocrisy and judgment. That's a lot, right? And we see in between kind of this sliding scale, but we live our lives in many ways, or religious people live their lives like this is how it goes. Like this way.